Yeah. Gooby. Gooby? Chinese? Chinese gooby? Okay. Funny. Funny how Gerbert keeps flowing. Funny how my money keeps growing. Funny how the time keeps going, never slowing. Yeah, you thought that she was loyal, but she's hoeing. She's going down on dudes like a Boeing. Pull up with 10 white bitches like it's snowing. Yeah. What? Okay. You think you're being watched by no one, but remember the creator's all knowing. A plane hit the World Trade Center, but why did Building 7 fall down? Gooby. Gooby is back. Gooby. Gooby is black. I'm gonna do it in one take. One take. Alright. Yep, it's Gerbert. Gerbert live from the basement. This is a basement. Unfortunately, I'm not beating the basement allegations. It's not I don't live with my parents. It's not the archetypal mother's basement, but I do just be dwelling in a basement, and I rent a basement in the hood. So, yeah, you know, maybe one of these days I'll get out of the hood, get out of the basement, buy a nice starter house, get a fat wife, live happy ever after. But that's in the future. I gazed into a crystal ball and I saw my future, and that's what I saw. And I don't know how to feel about it, but I feel like it's probably one of the better outcomes for a Zoomer guy. I feel like most of them will just like mew so hard or like jelk so viciously their balls explode and they fucking die. All right. Let me just get on with it. So few weeks ago, I do these videos where I read out confessions. Now the purpose of these videos is for fun, for entertainment. It's supposed to be funny, right? I'm supposed to make little jokes, whatever. But you know, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a priest. I'm here to make fun of you for being a freaky fuck. That's what those confessions are. But some of them were very serious and very deep, and I didn't want to like really include them in the video. It would kind of mess up the vibe. And a lot of them I feel like I can make a whole video about, so that's what I'm doing here with this one right here. So, what is your confession? I have seen my best friend turn from someone just like me into a Chad with a playboy personality. I've known him for years, but for the last year he just isn't acting like himself anymore. Lately I've been giving him very vague answers and slightly ghosting him, because every time I spoke to him I felt hurt. We both worked out. He built a great physique, while I achieved nothing. All he ever did turned out better than all I ever did, and I just can't bear it anymore. My ego is so hurt, and it's such an a-hole thing for me to do. I just can't bear it. I can't bear that he's doing better than me, that he's pulling girls. I can't bear that he's on a path to a very successful life. All I ever gave was my 200%. I put my all into everything with blood, sweat, and tears, but in the end it doesn't matter. We are genetically predisposed to be better at some things. He was destined to be great. I was destined to be nobody. My only choice is to either wallow in shame and hit the rock bottom or become his wingman. He was like a brother to me, but now I can't bear him. Okay. Sheesh. That's what it is. Let me maybe leave it up for a little longer so I can peer at it, but make it a little smaller. Now, with these confessions, people could be making them up, of course. But I mean, the same could be true for any questions I receive on this channel. But I believe it. I believe it mainly because there are many such cases. When you engage in this self-improvement journey, let's say, you will immediately have expectations in your head of what you will yield. And there's this notion that you have to achieve certain things for it to be worth it, or you have to reach this certain category to get attraction from women or be the type of person who is a Chad, who is socially dominant, who, you try to become this guy. And when you don't, because unfortunately a lot of people just inevitably won't, it can be pretty disappointing. And if you have like a childhood friend and you go on this journey together, you both kind of enter this space at the same time, and very disparate outcomes occur. I'm sure that happens a lot because people's capacity for improvements over different timelines is very different. There's a lot of empirical evidence to support this. That, people, when it comes to working out, you say, he built a great physique, you achieved nothing. I'm sure you achieved something, but it's just in comparison, you feel like you did nothing because evidence shows that even when following an identical training program, some people build a lot of muscle, some people don't build that much. And that's just, we've pinpointed certain things, genetic aspects of the body that some people have, that some people don't. And some people are going to be like, oh, they couldn't control for like the hard work. That's really not it. You see people like backing all these very different styles of training. Mike Mincer, 3 times a week, high intensity, low volume. Other people, high volume, 6 times a week. Never trained to failure. There are jacked people on both sides. It really just comes down to like your capability. But, I don't want this, that's not, don't get the message of this wrong. But let's get back on topic. You should still work out. You should still try whatever. I can't bear these doing better than me. Yeah, so this is what, I'm sure this happens a lot. And there are 2 ways to look at this. The first is that you are being prideful. You are letting your ego and envy hold you back from a friendship. You seem to be a little bit aware of this possibility. You said you feel like an asshole, but you just can't do it. That's one way to look at it. I mean, some people would say, like, if you have a friend, a very good friend, you said he was like a brother to you, you should be happy that he's doing well, not, suffering because of his success, right? But there's another way to look at it, which is just that this is very natural. And it's not pleasant to just be mogged into oblivion everywhere you go, especially in today's environment where it seems we're like there's this winner-take-all mentality with Zoomers. Some of it might be illusory, projected by media, and in certain real communities it might not exist, but it's becoming more and more actually real. Where being average, you just don't get any attraction from women, or, generally like being normal just isn't enough anymore. It's winner take all. We're just in this mog, or it's a moggy mog world. So if you have a friend and he accomplishes all these things, you both try, and he accomplishes all these things, and he ascends to this category where he's in this top 20%. He becomes an archetypal Chad. But you don't, even after trying hard. There's a point where, especially now, it could be like you're living in completely separate realities, especially if he's very indulgent. Now, what I would say regarding this, like regarding whether or not you're valid for this, it pretty much depends on what kind of guy he is. If he's annoying about it, if he's like doing the whole thing, taking pictures with his shirt off, mirror selfies, going, oh, I'm mogging, like just banging a bunch of girls, really going fully in on it. I don't know, I wouldn't cut it off completely, but I think you're valid. But if he's a nice guy, if he's not very indulgent, if he's, he accomplished all these things, but he's not a dick about it. He's maybe even understanding or sort of self-aware about his, what he has been allotted. Maybe because a lot of people, they seem to think everything is up to their hard work, and that can be pretty obnoxious. We see these kind of things where attractive people are more likely to believe in the just world fallacy, that everything's fair. And there are similar social phenomena where, like, you don't really see the truth of things if you're privileged. Let's say, if you lead a life without strife, you feel me? So, whether you wallow in shame or become his wingman, I feel like if he's a nice person, if he's not like really doing the whole thing, you should just like drop it. Because here's the thing, and also not to give advice, I meant to be like talking about these things in general, but here's the thing. A lot of people, they can't accept it. Here's the thing about the black pill or any of these pills, whatever. Bitter truths about who you are and your genetic capabilities and how things are determined, outside of your control. I say these sort of things, and a lot of people are like, oh, you're such a doomer, you're so bad. It's just like, look, I'm not even a pessimist. I'm chilling. I'm a pretty happy guy. I don't know what else to say. It's because I've accepted these things. There's not a solution for everything. We can't work out little it's not just like problem solution. Some things just are, and you have to accept them. So a lot of people who really struggle with this, like, the pill is bitter going down, and it takes a while to digest, but once you do, like, you really have to stop being a bitch about it. This to me seems like you're still sort of like swallowing or digesting these so-called black pills. When, like, if you really accept, like, okay, he has better genetics than me, it's whatever. I could still be his friend. I'm going to get mogged, fine. Like, I don't have to look at everything like this. It is what it is. It shouldn't irk you so much because if you're a man, you have to gain control of your emotions, understand what you can and can't control, and if you can't control something, you stop caring about it. But yeah, it definitely depends on what kind of guy. I mean, even still, it does suck to be around a guy and he's just getting all this attention from women. If you're in a group setting, it could possibly feel like you're invisible around him over time. And if he is like really indulging in this lifestyle, in this winner-take-all type of environment we have, you could be living like completely different. You could be living in different worlds functionally at this point because you have nothing, he has everything. We're like reverting to this hyper-primitive, hierarchical way of looking at everything. Because if you, like, there really is an aspect to the modern digital environment like this male competition is so warped and it just ruins genuine male friendships. It's the result of us becoming digitized, hyper-connected, but also the destruction of community and monogamy. Like, let's say you and this guy instead of growing up however you grew up in some little village couple 100 years ago, whatever. Now, in your little village competitions, spear throwing, whatever you do, little races, the guy might have beat you, and you'd engage and you'd try to become a man, and you'd figure out pretty quickly this guy moggs you, right? And maybe he'd go on to assume a high position in the village council. Maybe he'd be the mayor. But that wouldn't mean all is lost for you, like it does now. Like now, where you can't be average, you can't afford to be below average, or you're just fucked. At least this is what is projected. This is what's in Zoomers' minds, and there is some truth to it. It wouldn't be like that. Maybe he'd go on to assume this thing, but you, being rooted in this community, you'd have your family, there would be monogamy. So what happens in monogamy is the most dominant men get married young to, usually the most attractive women, but then they're out of the dating market forever. One and done, he's gone. And the thing is, once you get in a long-term relationship, your testosterone plateaus a little bit, at least for some time. So him getting married young to, that pretty girl, but it's whatever, he would kind of mellow down a little bit. That would give you some room to grind a little harder and catch up. And yeah, he'd still go on, he'd assume this high position in the village, but you'd still have your own thing, your own way to actually contribute within this community. Maybe you'd make shoes. You'd be the shoemaker, and you'd be very good at making shoes. In this way, he can't make shoes like that. You'd have your own thing, and you'd still probably have your cute little wife. You marry a little later, but it's all good. Now what do you get for being normal? And then here's the issue. Everybody's trying these same things, these exact same avenues to ascend, which, are probably the most widely effective, but no one's trying to find their own angle. Maybe if that guy decided to make shoes too, he'd do it just as good as you or better, but we'll never know. You still found your own shit. That's what needs to happen now. I'm offering advice again. I don't know shit, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's worth something. People need to find their angle. A lot of y'all working out is not your angle. Some people it is. A lot of people looks maxing, doing all this shit. You're not playing to your strengths. Some people are just ugly. Some people are ugly. Why the fuck is that such a hard thing? Looks max all you want, bro. You're, come on. It really doesn't have to be. Just swallow it and find your angle. You got to. That's the only option. It's tens of thousands of people trying to scramble in this little doorway, where if you just step back from the internet, these universal solutions offered to anybody, you can look and find there's different paths you could take. Not saying that's a perfect, eureka solution for everything, but that's something people should think about, truly. But yeah, back to this. This masculine competition is tainted. What it's really tainted by is it's tainted by the destruction of monogamy, the female sexual utopia, which is hypergamy. Basically, where, people know what hypergamy is. The most dominant men get all the attention, the rest pretty much none. Which isn't here's the thing about it. People misunderstand how this manifests. It's not really like Chads walking around with a bunch of harems. It manifests in a form of serial monogamy, where women will get into relationships but never be satisfied. It's just one after the other, searching for the best thing that's very elusive, because it doesn't actually exist. These fantasies, these It's like trying to realize something that can never happen, which is this archetypal Chad, this high value male, falling in love with a woman and committing only to her, even though he has a world full of options, when in actuality this guy, because he has options, won't want to commit to one girl. So that's why it's just cursed. Because women don't want to share a guy. Like, that's a cope. And it's not good, and it's not natural. It's not how societies are built. It's just a bunch of women sharing the most dominant men, even though technically that could work. Like, one man can impregnate 10 broads, but that's not how we built civilization. I'm retreading common ground. I feel like I've talked enough. But that's what breaks down this masculine competition, is like, you get nothing. You try and you get nothing. But, maybe you will. There's got to be something you're better at. There is a general correlation between, like, people who are attractive or, maybe smarter, maybe generally better at some things. There's a little bit of the highest correlation they muster up between, like, how attractive someone is and IQ is like 0.2. So it's there. It's not very well replicated also, but I think there's evidence that it's there, but it's quite mild. It's not like attractive people just mog you at everything. There's got to be something you could do. It's just you're trying to compete on the same lines. It's kind of the issue with a lot of this self-improvement stuff. Only one sort of thing seems to be valued. Yeah, that's it. Those are my thoughts. Hopefully you found it interesting. Yep. Bye-bye. Peace. Gerby out, baby. Bitch. Suck my